Okay, so Maryland Governor Wes Moore just slammed MAGA Lord Trump's ignorant city attacks. He basically told him to keep our name out of your mouth. Let's watch the full clip, and then I'll give you my thoughts at the end.
I want to say that loud and clear for anybody, especially in Washington, D.C., who might not hear me. If you are not willing to be part of the solution, keep our names out of your mouth. Donald Trump, if you are not willing to walk our communities, keep our name out of your mouth.
That was Maryland Governor Wes Moore clapping back at the president for wrongly stating that Moore's hometown of Baltimore is so far gone when it comes to violent crime. And now the governor, though, which is a classic Governor Moore move, which is another reason I want him on, reaches out to the president and says, hey, I like that you care about crime. So do I. Come and visit. And I got to tell you, people who see that as, oh, why is he reaching out to Trump? Shut up. That's what a leader does, is try to get the president of the United States to care about where he is, all right? Now, in the past 2 years, what's the proof in the pudding? What has crime done in Baltimore? All right, let's just cherry pick what matters most. Homicides, okay? It's down 40% in 2 years. How? Oh, they brought in the National Guard. No, of course not. It's not like he's anti-military, right? He's a veteran. But they did the hard work. They did, how do we police? Where do we police? What programs are needed? Where's the crime? What's happening in those communities? You know, the hard stuff, governing, you know? And it's been very effective. So let's bring in the governor and let's talk about how he did it and what he thinks is going on and what he thinks happens next. Governor Wes Moore. It's good to see you, sir.
It's great to see you, sir.
And I know you talk about the mayor in Baltimore also when you talk about what's happening in that city, Brandon Scott. You know, I don't want to make it all about you, but, you know, you describe it the way you want. So, Gov, Baltimore is a rough place. You know it. You grow up there. I've been there dozens of times in my life, but it's not where it was. Why?
You know, I remember when I first became the governor, we saw how Baltimore went through 8 straight years of watching over 300 homicides for 8 straight years. You know, that the year before I became the governor in 2022, Baltimore is recording about a homicide a day. And when I came in, I said there is no way that I was going to be a chief executive that was going to offer thoughts and prayers and give eulogies, but not actually address the issue the way that was done during the 8 years before I became the governor. And so we started doing something really unique. We started working together. We started working together with the mayor of Baltimore, with local law enforcement. We've made the largest investments in local law enforcement in our state's history, and that includes over $50 million that went to the Baltimore City Police Department alone. That we started investing in technologies and predictive analytics, because you can use technologies to actually keep crimes from happening. And I was very clear that if someone committed a violent crime with a firearm, I wanted them in handcuffs in 24 hours. And I was very clear that we're going to work with our community groups, our violence intervention groups, and our violence interruption groups, because so much of the violence that we were seeing was retaliatory by nature. And so the results that we were able to see was because we were actually willing to do the hard work. We were actually willing to work together. We were actually willing to work with the community and work with local elected officials and work with law enforcement and work with our state's attorneys and our U.S. attorneys. And to be able to say that if preventing violent crime and if public safety was going to be my #1 priority, that there was nothing that I would not do, and there was nothing that I would not instruct every member of my administration to do to make sure that people could feel safe in their own communities and in their own homes.
So, Gov, you reach out to the president. He says, yeah, sure, I'll come. And he comes, he looks around, and he says, oh, nice job, this worked. I shouldn't have said it's, you know, so far gone, or whatever he said. I'll bring the National Guard here for you. I'll help you the same way I'm helping D.C. What would you say?
Well, I'd love for the president to take us up on our offer and actually come walk the streets with us, because, you know, we know that we still have more work to do. I will never be satisfied if one person does not feel safe in their neighborhoods, in their communities. And that's why we are often doing community walks. It's often why we are inside of our communities talking to our neighbors. And what I want is for, if the president is going to make comments about Baltimore City, then the president should actually make sure that they are informed comments. Because the truth is that the comments that he is making from the Oval Office, the personal attacks that he's made on me from the Oval Office, they're not just inaccurate, they're ignorant. And so I would just love for the president to be able to come and spend time.
I'm with you. I hear it. I think it's a good idea. And he's not like, shy about going places either. But what if he says, I want to help the way I helped in D.C.? Would you accept it when you know that your party's left flank would attack you like you were back in Afghanistan?
Well, here's what I know. I'm the 63rd governor of my state, but also I take very seriously the fact that I'm the commander-in-chief of the Maryland National Guard. I have had to deploy members of our National Guard in times of emergency and in times of crisis since I have been the governor. And also, I know what the weight of that is because I personally have worn the uniform of this country. I personally have deployed overseas. I personally have led soldiers in combat. And so I understand the weight and the gravity that comes whenever you are activating soldiers to be able to go out and perform functions. There's a few things that I know about that. One is that our members of our National Guard are not trained to do municipal policing functions. That's not what they are trained for. And so we have to be very clear and very intentional about what are we actually using them for to make sure that we're actually honoring the service that they're performing for the people of our individual communities. The second thing I know is this, is the pot, the capital, the investment that goes every time you activate the National Guard. And we're talking over $1 million a day that it costs to do this. That is not a bottomless pot. That's coming from other operations that are taking place. So right now, as we are preparing for the potential residuals of Hurricane Erin, that's now coming up the coast, that will be hitting all the East Coast states. That pot that we're paying for to pay for members of the National Guard to do municipal work. Exactly. So let's be smart about taxpayer dollars. Let's be smart about how we're actually using investments, because if the president came to me and said, Mr. Governor, I have $1 million a day to give you right now to make our community safe, I can give a whole list of things that I would give, that I'll put it towards, that would actually make our community safe.
Let me ask you about your party. So Governor Newsom in California is getting traction, and I keep hearing the same word, muscular. Muscular. The way he's tweeting like Trump, he's going at Trump, he's getting in Trump's head. Muscular. Do you believe that that is how your party, which nationally is in a real doldrums, gets back? Is that the kind of muscularity that you think you guys need?
I honestly have not paid attention to the tweets of Governor Newsom or the tweets of President Trump, frankly. We're very focused on the results we're delivering for the people in our state because we know these are trying times. And we know the people of our state are struggling and they're hurting because they are watching the prices of everything go up because of these tariff wars. And that includes everything from the electronics that they're using to the food that they're eating. We are watching how Maryland has had more federal employees laid off by this administration than any state in the entire country. It's now over 12,000 Marylanders have been fired who are federal workers. And so we are now coming up with creative ways of making sure that they are taken care of. We have a Feds to Eds platform that's showing for federal workers who've been fired by Donald Trump. We're now trying to get them as quickly as possible into classrooms. If they're interested in being educators, get them trained, get them certified, get them in classrooms, get them in hospitals to serve as nurses, get them in the private sector. And it's one of the reasons that I'm really proud that Maryland's unemployment rate right now at 3.4% is still about a full point lower than the national average. And so we've been focused on delivering results for the people of our state, and I think that's why the people of our state seem to appreciate the work that we're doing. So I honestly have not had time to focus on tweet wars.
I see what you did there, Gov, and I respect it, and I like it, and I'm going to allow it to check the box for the audience and move on with one quick comeback, which is, I hear you, and I like the high road, making the better case and just getting it done for your people. I respect it, and it is the righteous path. But I did just hear you tell the President of the United States to keep the name of your city out of his mouth. That is not exactly
That's right.
ignoring the tone and tenor of how this is kind of getting a little chippy between people here. How am I to understand you saying that to the President of the... I could see you saying that to me, but to say it to the President of the United States seems a little muscular.
Well, but you know why? Because I'm always going to fight for my folks. You know, one thing that people have learned about me is that, you know, I'm not a career politician. This is the first office I ever ran for in my life. I don't come from the world of politics. I'm a soldier. That's my training. That's my background. And if you come after my people, and if you come after the folks who I represent, best believe that we are going to come back. And I think about where Baltimore was when we first came on board. I mean, think about it. When I first became the governor of Maryland, Baltimore's Inner Harbor, the downtown area, was in receivership. That when I first became the governor of Maryland, there were over 17,000 vacant homes in the city of Baltimore. I just mentioned about what the homicide rate was in the city of Baltimore. But if you look at what's happened in the past 2.5 years, there's an absolute renaissance that's taking place that we're proud of, that we've cut the number of vacant homes in half, that we have now been able to have a vibrant new vision for what the downtown area for Baltimore is going to look like, that Maryland, the state of Maryland, is seeing amongst the fastest drops in violent crime anywhere in the United States of America, and we are proud of our progress. And so I am a soldier, and I fight for my people. And so that's the reason I was just very clear that if anybody wants to be a vehicle for the solution, I will ride with you. And I will work with you, and I will do it I will do it excitedly. But if all you want to do is take pot shots and use tropes at the people of my communities or the people of my state, understand my training is I am a soldier, and we will clap back.
Honestly, this is the MAGA playbook, right? Page 1, chapter 1. Find a city with a Democratic leader, preferably a majority black city, and just smear it. The entire purpose is to find a villain. They need an enemy for the rallies, and turning actual human beings who live there into a prop is how they do it. And what's so infuriating, you know, is how lazy it is. There's no thought behind it, no research. Just point a finger and yell carnage. And they do it because they expect the response to be this weak, data-driven thing that no one pays attention to. They expect to control the entire emotional narrative, while the other side is fumbling with charts and graphs. It's pathetic. It's the tactic of someone who has never built a single thing in their life. All they know how to do is tear things down, and people's homes and communities are just more bricks in the wall for them to throw. He doesn't see Baltimore, he sees a soundbite, and that's it. And that's what makes this whole thing so different. Because you get to the core of the problem here. I mean, how do you even debate someone who has no relationship with reality? Governor Moore comes out with a 40% reduction in homicides, a massive, life-changing number. And for Trump and his followers, that number might as well not exist. It's completely irrelevant to them. Their power, their whole political movement is fed by a feeling. It relies on a sense of decay, a feeling that everything is collapsing. So any piece of good news, any actual progress is a direct threat to their entire worldview. So what do? They have to ignore it. They have to shout it down. They have to pretend it isn't happening, because the illusion of failure is the only product they're selling. And if the country's actually getting better in places, their entire reason for being just evaporates. And that's why Moore's whole framing here is just, it's perfect. It's the perfect counter. The interviewer calls it muscular or chippy or whatever. For me, what's happening is a fundamental rejection of the entire political game. The core of this is recognizing you're in an abnormal situation. Trump's brand is built on being the alpha, the guy who walks in and just dominates everyone through sheer force of will. He expects people to cower, to play by a set of rules that he himself gleefully ignores. And Moore just refuses. He completely rejects that entire dynamic. His approach comes from a different place entirely. The whole "I'm a soldier" thing is a complete reframing of the battle. He's basically saying, you think this is a game? You think these are just words? I'm here as a commander, and you just attacked my people. It changes everything. It posits a loyalty that's higher than political politeness. His loyalty is to his constituents, and he treats a threat to them as a genuine danger demanding a forceful response. And that's what a bully can't handle. A bully can't handle someone who isn't scared of them, someone who has a deeper conviction. Trump is used to career politicians who are constantly calculating every angle. This response shows Moore's only calculation is how to best defend his home. So when he draws that line, it functions as a genuine warning. The weight behind it carries the promise of a real fight, one that you're starting with people who will actually fight back, and you are not ready for that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.